All right. I'd like to welcome everyone to the provisional ballot session of the Monroe County Board of Elections. This being the second Friday after the election, we will now resolve any ballots that could not be cast on the day of the election. Instead, they were sealed and an affidavit was signed, and the person was given the opportunity to come into Election Central anytime up to 12 o'clock today to resolve any issues. We had one issue that was resolved. There were 22 issues that were not resolved. So we will now deal with each one of those ballots, referring to them by number in order to protect the confidentiality of the voter. In front of Ms. Nicole here, our clerk of courts, we have, thank you. We have sealed bags, sealed at the time of the election. They were opened once by the election supervisor to verify the information therein and to create a list for us so that we could process that list. We will now open those bags and deal with each one in turn.
Okay. So the first one is an industrious inspector who had no provisional ballots from Arlington Elementary School, but submitted the bag to us for consideration. So I will break the seal to prove that there are no provisional ballots inside. Finding no
Empty.
provisional ballots inside, we can then move on to the next one, which is for Bloomington City Hall. I find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That should be correct.
Correct.
Okay. And so we are in agreement that we will just.
Is this number one?
This is number one.
On our list?
Number one on our list. And it appears that that person is not registered here in Monroe County.
They are in fact registered in another county in Indiana.
Looks like the paperwork is all correct.
Along with the challenge affidavit is the person's actual ballot contained in this sealed envelope. And they voted for it. Okay, this voter's name is not included on the poll list and is not entitled to vote by using a fail-safe procedure.
And given that the voter is voted or is registered not in Monroe County but in another Indiana county, statutorily we cannot accept this ballot. And I will make the motion that the ballot be not counted.
I will second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, by unanimous vote, this ballot cannot be counted.
Okay. Moving on to voter number 2. It would appear that this voter appeared at, I'm sorry, same thing, not registered in Monroe County.
And I believe the person is not registered at all.
Okay.
Yes, that's what this says.
And by saying not registered, that means they are not listed in the poll book.
They're not registered in the state of Indiana.
Not registered in the state of Indiana.
And you know, they may have registered after the deadline and thought they were registered, but they should check
Right.
If that happened to you, you should check and make sure that you are registered for the fall. And just to let everybody know that voter registration reopens on the 16th, which is Monday, I believe, Tuesday, right? 16th, Tuesday. And so at that time, all of the changes that were made during the election, et cetera, anything that happened since those were closed, we will update those, but, and then everybody should give it a couple weeks and then check to make sure that their registration went through correctly so that they are set up for the fall. Anyway, so.
With your approval, I will make a motion that we reject this ballot.
I will second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimously, this ballot is rejected.
Voter number 3 would appear to have gone to the wrong polling site. Always unfortunate.
All right, at this election, voters were required to go to their precinct or designated precinct site. Since precincts, for the sake of safety and health, were consolidated into 7 sites, this person's assigned site was not the one they attended.
The affidavit looks complete.
So the person's name is included on the poll list, but they do not currently reside in the assigned precinct for this vote.
Which unfortunately means that we cannot accept the ballot. Now, this number 4 is the same, so why don't we combine the two?
Number 4 being, okay, same last name,
Same issue, anyway.
same issue. So state law prohibits us from allowing the ballot because they went to the wrong precinct to vote, even though they are duly registered.
They were not given the ballot for the precinct in which
They were not given the ballot for the precinct, right? Because ballots do vary from precinct to precinct.
And again, the affidavit appears to be correct. So I will make a motion that we do not count ballots number 3 and 4.
I will second the motion to not accept ballots number 3 and ballots number 4.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the ballots are rejected. 3 and 4 are rejected.
Moving on to ballot number 5. It would appear that they either had no ID or an expired ID on the date of the election.
Okay, the person could have corrected this by coming in to Election Central and presenting a valid ID.
And each person received instructions from the election board to do exactly that.
Okay, each person received instructions on how to correct the issue that they had on election day with their provisional ballot.
At the time that they sign the affidavit and so forth, they're also given a set of instructions on how to resolve the issue that they take home with them.
Okay, so this is number 5, and number 5 chose not to submit an identification.
And the affidavit does appear to be correct and filled out correctly.
With your approval, I will make a motion that we reject ballot number 5.
I will second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The ballot is rejected.
Moving on to ballot number 6.
Okay, 6, 7, and 8 are all the same issue and the same wrong polling sites, so why don't we combine those 3?
Very fair.
Okay, we'll be examining all three affidavits to determine if we can cast a single vote to deal with all three of these identical issues.
That was ballot number 6. This is ballot number 7.
The affidavit appears to be filled out correctly.
Ballot number 8.
And the affidavit is the explanation here says that the voter indicates that she registered online for this precinct, but the poll book has not been updated, which probably means that she did so after the deadline for registration. Again, the rest of the affidavit appears to be complete. I can make the motion that we reject ballots 6, 7, and 8 because they were at the wrong polling site and cannot accept those ballots.
I will second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And again, that voter should check to make sure that in probably early July, mid-July, they should check their registration online at indianavoters.com to make sure that their registration did go through. If for some reason it doesn't seem to have, they can check with our voter registration office to figure out why.
Okay.
And this is voter number 9, who appears to have voted provisionally because there was an error in the e-poll book. It indicates, error in e-poll book indicates that voter has voted. This is incorrect.
So this is a case where the person went to vote and they were told you've already voted,
Yeah, well,
or the poll book
the
indicated.
e-poll book indicated that they had already voted, but we guessed that from this, from what the supervisor at that polling site said, he must have checked with voter registration, found that that was not correct. They had not yet voted. So she had to vote provisionally because we couldn't put her in on the e-poll book. However, given that she did not vote, or that this person did not vote previously, this vote should count. And I will make the motion that this ballot be accepted.
I will second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the vote shall be counted.
It's nice
Or
when
number
you get to
9.
say yes.
Yeah.
Did you want to see this?
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Moving on to the next polling site of City Church.
There should be 7 ballots.
Yes. I am looking at ballot number 10. Which appears to, sorry, I could have told you how many it were first. Did you say 7? That is correct. All right, so voter number 10, no ID.
Oh, no, that's the next one.
Incorrect.
May have to check and see what it says on the
Okay.
affidavit.
I do not see a reason given, perhaps one of you can check behind.
She was at the right place. Yeah,
She was at the right place.
she was at the right place. Can I double check that?
Absent any information if this voter was at the right place.
I don't see, I mean, there's no information given as to the reason, just says it's not included in the poll list and not entitled to vote using a fail-safe procedure, but we've determined that it is in the poll list and that she was at the correct location.
So by all appearances, she was at the correct site and she is registered to vote and entitled to have her vote counted.
And I will make the motion that we accept this ballot.
I will second the motion.
All those in favor of accepting this ballot, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, ballot is accepted.
Okay. Voter number 11, no or expired identification. I'm going to presume that they did not make an effort to make that right over the past 10 days.
David looks complete. Given that the voter was not able or did not come in to correct the lack of ID, we are statutorily required to reject this ballot, and I make a motion that we do so.
I will second the motion.
All those in favor of rejecting this ballot, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, ballot is rejected.
We are on to voter number 12, and I'm presuming you want to do number 13 too,
We can.
for the same
Both not
reasons.
registered.
Neither voter, number 12 nor number 13, is registered in Monroe County. This is voter number 12. This is voter number 13. And while you examine, I'll just encourage, I'll do a little plug for making sure you get registered as soon as we are able to do so that you can vote with us in the general election.
And do you know when registration opens? It's pretty soon,
The 16th.
16th of this month. Okay,
And so unless anyone has an objection, once you have reviewed, I will make a motion to reject both of these ballots for voter number 12 and voter number 13.
And we'll second that motion.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, these ballots are rejected.
Ballots number 14 and 15 rather, both were at the wrong poll site.
This is voter number 14, and they should have been, they appeared at City Church, but should have been at a different polling site. Correct?
Yes.
I know we use a lot of venues to promote the consolidated polling sites, and so it's regrettable when we have to reject a voter for this reason. Unless you have objections upon your review, I will make a motion that we reject ballots 14 and 15.
I will second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Under state law, we have no alternative.
And we will note that every voter did receive a letter, or should have received a letter with those new poll sites listed. So, along with the fact that we also had signs at the polling sites that were not open, we had signs at polling sites that were open. It was in the paper and in multiple other locations as well. Try to make sure that voters knew where they needed to go.
So voter number 16 appears to not be registered in Monroe County, but another Indiana county. Oh, excuse me.
Affidavit is properly filled out. I will make a motion that given that we are statutorily required to reject a ballot for a voter that's registered in a different county, we can reject this ballot.
All those in, okay, do you second?
I will second the
Okay,
motion.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ballot is rejected.
We have another industrious inspector at Edgewood High School who turned the bag in with no provisional ballots. I will break the seal to ensure that there are no provisional ballots in this bag. Well,
Those are unused supplies that are available to inspectors to use.
unused
Can we
supplies.
verify that they're all unused?
Sure. I find that none of them have been completed.
Okay. Thank you. Our election supervisor almost had a stroke.
And we will move on to Grandview Elementary School, where we appear to have had 3 provisional ballots.
Let's do the following. Let's do 18 first.
Let's
and
do
then
18 first.
17 and 19.
Okay. I do find 3 provisional ballots inside, and so you want to do 18 first.
D-O.
I find DO, and this voter had no or expired ID, but we have been presented with evidence that they have come in the last 10 days to provide appropriate ID.
And you each have copies of that ID
Yes,
in your paperwork.
yes. So unless there are objections, I will make a motion that we accept voter number 18's ballot.
I will make a second.
All those in favor? The ballot is accepted for counting.
We want to thank that voter for getting in within the 10 days and providing identification so that we can accept that. Thank you so much. So you're wanting to do 17 and 19 together?
Both did not provide ID at the polls, and neither brought ID in to be verified.
Just to reiterate, everyone who had to fill out one of these at a polling place was told exactly what they needed to do in order to have their ballot count. In these 2 cases, the voters chose not to submit IDs. Therefore, under state law, we cannot process these ballots.
And this voter intended to bring their ID. You do have to do that follow through and come on in, so, because we don't want to reject a ballot. And unfortunately, in this instance, they didn't make it in. So unless there are objections in the cases of voter number 17 and voter number 19, I will make a motion that we reject these ballots.
I will second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The ballots are rejected. In one case, the driver's license was expired. That's painful because it's 2 things. One, they had to renew it, and 2, they had to bring the renewed one in.
For the edification of our viewers, how long can it have been expired?
It had to expire after November 6th of 2018.
So it had been expired 2 years, almost 2 years.
Well, it could have expired last week.
Oh, yeah, that's true. After
No,
that.
it would have to expire 2 weeks ago, 2 years ago, yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Prior to the day after the.
As long as it expired after November 6th.
Right.
It was perfectly valid, so it had to have expired before November
November
6th.
6th,
So,
2018.
Yeah, so,
Okay, so it's 2 years in arrears. All right.
Okay. Are we ready to move on to
We are.
Sherwood Oaks Church?
We are.
Where we have 3. I will break the seal for the Sherwood Oaks bag. It is intact.
One of each reason.
I do find 3 provisional ballots. And we will look at
Number 20.
voter number 20, who is not registered, but registered in another Indiana county.
Given that the voter is not registered in Monroe County, but in another Indiana county, you are statutorily required to reject this ballot. I make the motion to do so.
I will second the motion.
All those in favor of rejecting this ballot, say aye.
Aye. Voter number 21 appears to have presented with either no identification or expired identification. There's no differentiation as to which one. Barring an objection, I will make a recommendation. I will make a motion that we reject the ballot for no or expired identification.
Second.
All those in favor of rejecting this ballot, say aye.
Aye.
The ballot is rejected.
Plenty of time to get those IDs up to date so that you can vote in the November election.
We'll be here before we know it.
144 days.
You're trying to give the supervisor another stroke.
I know.
Okay. So voter number 22 appears to have gone to the wrong polling site. I love their first name. Appears to have gone to the wrong voting site and should have been at a different Monroe County polling site.
Yeah, it was an unlucky mistake, no doubt about it.
And unfortunately, a lot of times they present at when it's close to polling time, so they don't, or closing time for the polls, so they don't have time to get to the right polling site. I surely hate that.
But we did have one voter show up the day after
I've
the
heard
polls
about
closed.
that. I've heard about that.
Yeah.
And also one that wrote me to ask me how to remedy the fact that they hadn't voted on election day.
Oh dear.
Unfortunately, meant that their remedy is to vote the right way, on the correct day.
Yeah.
So unless you have objections, I will make a motion to reject ballot number 22.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ballot is rejected.
Love
And-
your first name. Love your first name. And finally,
Southside Christian Church.
Southside Christian Church. One provisional ballot. In breaking the seal, I do find one provisional ballot, and it would appear that this voter was not registered in Monroe County. Voter is sure that she has a registration record, but not one that can be verified in the state of Indiana.
So
That is
again, might have been a situation where they voted after the voter registration was closed on May 4th, I believe it was.
In which case they'll be set for the fall.
Yes.
Yes, but they again should go to indianavoters.com after the 16th and make sure that that is correct.
Everything we're talking about today is from Indiana Election Code 2020 edition, section 3-11-7. And it is available online for anyone who wants to read it.
Barring any objection, I will make a motion that we reject the ballot for voter number 23 because they are not registered in Monroe County.
I will second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of rejecting this ballot, say aye.
Aye.
This is the final ballot. 23 ballots having been discussed and resolved. We have no further business before this board.
I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I will second.
Okay, all those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
The
Thanks
meeting
to
is
the
adjourned.
county